No matter how I look at this episode of the Apothecary Diaries, the more it goes on, the more disgusting it becomes. And the implications of this episode is that it was born of graping. If you don't know what I'm referring to with the word graping, take away the G. It's a clever way to get around demonetization and censoring on platforms such as YouTube. That word's probably going to be used a lot this video. Because here's the thing, Jinshi's mother forced herself onto the Emperor after he no longer looked at her because she no longer looked like a kid. We learn this episode the reason he likes them young is because he was scared of his mother, and it broke something in him over the course of these years as essentially a helicopter level parent took control. Despite her good intentions at face value, the lack of love and praise from an older woman caused him to be so scared that he only went after them young. And God knows the amount of people he forced himself onto who were young and couldn't say no. Disgusting. The fact that she then got so jealous and envious, she forced herself on him, implying that that was probably the night when there is some timeline discrepancy because of other births and stuff, so that would make sense. Seemingly that night did enough to stop him from touching other people, so I guess there's a silver lining, but it doesn't make what she did any sort of right. The more I learn about the royal family here, the more messed it becomes. And without a single doubt in my mind, this was the best arc of the show. It was the most messed up of the show. It's the arc that has me saying I don't know how to feel. And rip Mao Mao when she properly gets wrangled into the royal family. Because I gotta be honest, as much as I love my boy Jinshi, some loves just ain't worth pursuing, so maybe she just sticks to her love for bugs and doesn't have normal human connections, because this family be messed as hell, man. Want to see my full thoughts, so support my work. We got the Patreon, full and cut live reactions available exclusively over there if you're so interested. So, arsenic and the paint explains the mummification. That was really stumping me building into this episode, because I was thinking to myself, well, mummification, if we look at history, is generally done for pure intentions, right? Like to let the body preserve as long as possible. So doing it means that he must have had someone who deeply loved the Emperor, which doesn't make sense given what we know about him. So if you're doing it to hurt him, what were they going to use? And I had a feeling it was going to be something to do with paint. I just didn't understand how that would happen because, plenty of people paint, right? And the fact that it was a very specific pigment because of what was made in this, one yellow, right? The fact that it was seeping into him over a long period of time, and yeah, it preserves his body in death. Very interesting stuff, and I love how rather than it just being like, oh, this is the big mystery, why is the Emperor's body preserved? That's how this show always does it, is here's this at face value mystery, but then it leads to exploring a shit ton more plot points. The biggest was the painting that was being hidden and, the implications of everything surrounding him. I was sure they weren't just gonna go straight up the pedo route of just he's just a bad person and that's that. They were gonna go, he's a bad person, but let's explain what caused him to be one, right? It's pretty clear, given the small glimpses of nervous Nelly energy we've seen of him, that we're probably gonna do something like that. Nothing about what I'm saying is excusable. The dude's a scumbag, disgusting. If you like him young, I have words and things I wish would happen to you. Let's just put it like that. But at the end of the day, it's very interesting, and I think explains what caused him to become it. It doesn't excuse it, but it explains the trajectory. So, essentially, a mother looking at her son not fit to rule, his personality isn't really fit to rule, so I'll take on the burden of it, and I'll rule in his stead. At face value, it's not the most evil thing. It's controlling, but it's not evil. But the idea that her energy, the lack of love that she ever gave him, and just building in, eventually scarred him to the point that anyone with maturity, who looked like an adult, physically made him flinch. And unfortunately, biological needs meant that the people who didn't make him flinch is what he attached himself to, and no excuses. It makes me want to vomit. I don't think he probably would have had an age limit. I gotta be 100%. He probably would have went for babies if a mother would have gave him one. It's incredibly unfortunate the series of events that led this to happen, and it's even more unfortunate that seemingly the only thing that stopped him was him being forced against his will because a woman said, "You're gonna remember me." Like, I knew it was gonna be bad exploring the Emperor, but I didn't realize it was gonna get into this level of territory. Mao Mao, I can't tell if she's the luckiest or unluckiest person known to man, because the shit she gets caught up into is just, it's baffling. I did really appreciate the final conversation, as messed as the whole birth shenanigans is. The idea that, it's sad because Jinshi had a lot of similar things growing up that the previous emperor did. Didn't really have love, didn't really have a lot of things, right? It's like the fact that he wasn't allowed to have a favorite toy. If you have a favorite toy, it's seen as bad. So if he got attached to something, take it away. The fact that there's so many room, and I think maybe it just goes to show that Jinshi was just naturally a better person, that he avoided becoming a scumbag similar to his dad, right? The fact of the matter is, like, getting back that piece that it looks like metal, right? But it's obviously poisonous to the touch. And the idea that he had a painting, and the painting was, of course, of his mother, and it's just the whole thing tying together, and how is just such a touching thing. And yeah, it's hard to keep track of the webs, it really is. But episodes like these, I think, do bring them a little more close together to really expose a lot. But they not like us. Like, I can't say I feel bad for the previous emperor in the way that, like, oh, he deserves it. No, I feel bad the situation gave him such a piss poor mother figure that it made him fearful of women. I want to shoot him in the neck for everything he did after suffering. Because you can explain why you made mistakes, but it will never excuse mistakes. Very rarely, anyway. And this pedo did not deserve life, but his mom is definitely to blame. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. This was definitely the most messed up arc. I think the best arc, but your thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell. And like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Samuel Soliday, McFlurry, Kaneko1110, Ari Hakushi, Teabag Owens, Kenneth Dade, Daniel Wong, Wayne Aldequist, Chrome Elron, and we also have Celeron. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. You all have a good one.